Hey all, Tom Moran here from Tom's Big Spiders. Today we're going to be looking at Lasiodorides striatus, or the Peruvian orange stripe, I believe is the name of it. It's a species from Peru that unfortunately is not particularly popular in the hobby. You don't see a lot of them out there, but for the folks that have them, we love them. I had identified this species many, many years ago as one I wanted to keep, and I'm excited to be able to show mine off because she just molted and is showing some adult colors. And fun fact, this was actually supposed to be the rehousing video that we were going to do last week, but I was getting everything set up. I took her enclosure off and she had just finished molting. So we waited a little bit, she's eaten, and now it's time to get her into a new home. So enough of me talking, let's take a look at the Peruvian orange stripe. All right, I've been waiting to do this one for a long time. This is Lasiodorides striatus, or the Peruvian orange stripe, I believe. I actually saw these several years ago. They were, God, it had to be 12 years ago, somebody was offering them. They were a little pricey and I didn't pay them any more attention. And then somebody sent pictures a while back. I'm going to take this off so you can see it because it just molted. Somebody sent some pictures of the spider. They wanted to identify it a while back. And I honestly didn't know which species it was. It almost looked like an A. seemanni, that somebody had messed with the color on it. It had these beautiful stripes on its knees. Well, it ended up being the Lasiodorides striatus. And from that point on, I really, really wanted one because it was a gorgeous spider. I'm going to get some extra light. How's that? Womp, 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 huh? You got to help me out here. All right, there we go. Good?
Yeah,
no,
fine.
not good?
It just seems like it pops more with, I don't know. What do you think?
I don't know. I can't see anything. Always trying to get the colors, but we'll just leave it like that. So anyway, I got this one way back in early, I think it was late 2021, early 2022. Unfortunately, I did not take good notes on when I got this one, but a while back. And at that point, it was a 0.5 inch or a 0.5 to 0.75 inch sling, or 1.27 to 1.9 centimeter sling. Really excited about growing it up. And for some reason, I had it in my head that this was a faster growing species. It's a very slow growing species. I would say faster than the gab species, Grammostola, Faunapelma, Brachypelma, but still very slow growing. We were actually going to rehouse her last week. That was my video last week. And she surprised me with a molt, put on a ton of size, and actually finally picked up her colors. For a little while, I'm saying her, I'm hoping it's a her, but for a while, I wasn't sure if I had the right species because there was no coloration. There was none of those stripes were showing up. And then all of a sudden she had a molt. Almost reminded me of like a Formictopus where they had that one molt where all of a sudden they go from looking like slings to adults. They sport their adult colors. And this one kind of did the same thing. So now, as you can see, she's got that striping on her, kind of a bronze carapace. The striping on the knees when they get older turns more of an orange, peachy color overall. I've seen some really striking pictures. I do worry that in some cases, the people have kind of really jacked up the levels on it to make it almost look like they're glowing. But either way, I've seen some ones where it's more muted. They're still a beautiful spider. Now, this is a slow growing spider. It's a larger species. Supposedly the females can get to be 7 inches or 18 centimeters, which personally I think is pretty cool because that'd be a pretty beefy tea overall. Now, the first thing I put this one in was a dram vial, and you don't have to back up, I don't have a dram vial to show off. That's a little bottles, and kept the substrate moist at all times on the bottom, let the top dry out a little bit. A lot of burrowing. This definitely, so far, this species has acted fossorial. Then once it put on a little size, it hit probably about an inch or so, maybe even a little more. I moved her into what she's in now, and now we can back up a little bit to show this off. This is just a 20-ounce deli cup. I like the 20-ounce deli cups. Back in the day, it was like 16-ounce for terrestrials and 32-ounce for arboreals or fossorials. I like the 20s because they're much more versatile. I can put a fossorial species in here, gives me enough dirt so that it can bury down but not get lost. If I want to put a smaller arboreal in here, I can do the same thing. So I really like these, and it's been in this for quite some time. And I already plucked out the water dish. It did have a water dish, which I'd love to fill up with dirt. But as you can see in here, it originally had a cork bark hide. It dug out underneath the hide. It had cleared out all the dirt around there. And now, since its last molt, it doesn't really have any place to go. It can't really hide and burrow. So what we're going to do is get it into a larger enclosure. So what we have here, and I just realized I didn't take notes for the size of the enclosure, but I put up the little text boxes on the bottom that'll show. This is one of the M Design ones that I don't think they make anymore. It's about, I think, 6 inches by 7.5 inches by, I want to say 12 inches or so. And I'll put up the centimeters. I love these. I have them. They have hinge tops. They do not secure. I have to say this because people freak out when they find out it doesn't secure. But what I do is I have a shelf position so that I can put them 2 deep. Actually, if you just look right up here for a second, here they are, 2 deep, so they can't get out there, which works great. And then as far as what I have inside of this, I have, oh, Billy's double dutying here, make sure the spider doesn't escape. I have my own mix of substrate, which is about, I would say 45% peat, 45% cocoa fiber, and then some vermiculite in there. The bottom level, if you look back here, you can see the bottom layer I kept moist. Top layer is a little dry. This usually encourages some burrowing, and this allows the spider to kind of find the moisture level it needs. I will say everything I've read about the spider says that it is incredibly hardy. A lot of folks, I think just because of the name, compare it to Lasiodora parahybana, the salmon bird eater. Not the same species, not the same genus, but similar in that they are very tolerant of drier temperatures as long as they have a water dish. I would always give this one moist on the bottom so it can burrow. Let the top dry out, make sure the water dish is available. I have these little plants that I pick up off Amazon that I do soak beforehand for several days to make sure there's nothing bad in them, but I've been using them for a while. They look nice. And then 2 cork bark hives here. What I'm going to do is give her an option for where she wants to go. So we have one in here, one over in this corner. This way she can kind of pick. I had this piece of cork bark that was just sitting on the table I threw up in here, a little bit of New Zealand sphagnum moss for looks, and some leaf litter. So, and then obviously I will drop a water dish, probably right in here will be a little bottle cap water dish so that she can get a drink. So that's going to be the new enclosure. I will admit, when I was trying to figure out what to put her in, I had her in something smaller. Originally got a smaller enclosure ready for her because she is slow growing. She's going to be in it for a while, but I do want to give her some room to do what she needs to do. And I think this is deep enough to allow her to dig, but not so deep that she's going to get lost in it. So what we're going to do now is we're going to get her from this 20-ounce deli cup into, oh, come on. Let me see if I can just lift the whole thing out. Oh, or barrier. Sorry, girl. That was my bad. There we go. And there she is. So we're going to leave that in there. I always like to leave a little bit of something from the actual old enclosure in. It seems to help them kind of calm down. Now, as far as her size right now, she is right around, I actually got a tape measure at one point. She's right around the 3-inch mark. So she really put on some serious size because I think before that, she was closer to 2. So there was a big size jump. Picked up those adult colors. Oh, and 3 inches is 7.6 centimeters. So I will be curious to see if, like, again, the gab species, the aforementioned gab species, Grammosola, Faunopelma, Brachypelma, those I found take forever to go from teeny tiny slings up to like an inch or so. And then after that, they tend to put on a lot more size with each molt. They tend to grow much more quickly. So I'm kind of curious to see if she does that. Now, as far as temperatures, this one has been, I believe I got it after we had already moved to this house. So that means temperatures in the wintertime were the low to mid 70s. In the summertime, it gets to be about 80 to 85 degrees. If it gets too much warmer than that, I usually kick on an AC, not to really bring the temperature down much, but just to keep it from getting too close to 90. I found they all get very antsy when it gets up that high, but usually right around 80 to 85 degrees in the summertime. And again, still that slower growth rate, even with those warmer temps. And then again, as far as moisture, it is a species that does seem to bury down when I moisten up the substrate. She does seem to bury down to find that moist substrate. So I'm going to keep the lower levels moist, but the top can be dry. I'm guessing that once they get larger and older and they're adults, that you could probably ease off on the moisture. But as long as I find that the spiders seem to appreciate it, I will supply the moisture. Now, I don't know why these aren't more popular, quite frankly. Again, as I said, I've wanted one for quite some time and glad I finally have one to show off. They are very, very hardy. Everything I read about them says they're very hardy, very long-lived. There's some folks that report theirs living to 20 to 25 years. That's a really good lifespan for a tarantula. And they're incredibly pretty. Again, I'm looking up. Yeah, you can see the colors starting to pop. That isn't even the full colors. When you see them when they get older, the background coloration generally is darker, and then those knees tend to pop with that orange peachy tone. Just a very, very pretty spider. And they're larger. So you're talking about a 7-inch one where a lot of the gab species only get to be about 6 inches or so. So a lot to love about this one. It is one of the ones I'd like to see more established in the hobby. It is one of the ones I'm sometimes confused isn't more popular because of the fact that it has so much going for it. But every once in a while you see them offered. I would encourage folks that if you see them offered next time to take a chance, pick one up. I think you'll be pleased with it. Again, slower growing, but it's worth the wait. And then as far as temperament, this one has essentially been a fossorial. It will spend a lot of time in its burrow, but this is one of the ones where if I come up during the morning or in the afternoon, it's usually sitting out up top so I can see it, which is great. So I do get a lot of looks at it. And then it's very skittish. So if I disturb it, it will bolt to its burrow. I have read that if cornered, if they feel like they're cornered or trapped, then they may kick up some hairs, but I've had no hair kicking whatsoever with this one. She's actually been great. And a little weird fun fact with this one, she's a very timid eater. Even back in the day when I would drop very small prey items in compared to the size of the spider, she would act scared of the prey. She would run away. I couldn't get her eating on camera. And usually what would happen is I'd leave the prey item there. It was always stunned or pre-killed. And I would come back later and she'd be eating it. And that behavior has continued. She just molted. I figured she'd be ravenous. I dropped in a small red runner roach and she immediately ran away from it. And then I came back up an hour later and she was eating it. So this has been something I've noticed all the way through. Earlier on, I started basically pre-killing everything because I wouldn't catch her hunting and I didn't want to startle her by dropping something in there that was live that would just basically chase her around the enclosure. So I pre-kill. I'm hoping now that she's a little larger and once she gets established in this container, she'll be a little more bold and then I can start dropping. I'll probably start dropping in live items because there's plenty of room for her to stay away from them if they freak her out initially. So I think I covered everything with that one. Awesome species. And again, every once in a while, I have something that I want to show off because I want other people to give them a chance. This is definitely one of those species. This is one I'm really excited about growing up and I'm really excited about having for a very, very long time. So Lasiodorides striatus, the Peruvian orange stripe, awesome spider. If you see them offered, I say go for it. So after making all the comments about her not eating on camera, I got her into the new enclosure. I went to drop a roach in and she immediately grabbed it, which is great. So for folks who are worried about the little bit of dirt getting on her there, stressing her out too much, apparently it didn't stress her out all that much because she's eating now, which is fantastic. I will obviously be keeping people updated as to what she does in her new surroundings. I'm thinking she's obviously going to choose one of those burrows, dig it all out, and that's where she's going to hunt from. If she behaves the way she's done previously, yes, she's going to be fossorial, but I will catch her out in the open quite a bit, which is awesome. I have no problem with that. Honestly, with fossorial species, I don't mind them to begin with, even if you have a super shy one that doesn't like to come out all that much. When you do finally catch it out and about, it makes it all so worthwhile. This one, though, I think I got a funny feeling I'm going to be seeing her quite a bit. So for folks that are looking for something unique, could it be a beginner species? The behavior-wise, little skittish overall, but I think that the slow growth would allow somebody to grow with it. The fact that it's very hardy would be attractive to somebody raising up their first sling and looking for a more hardy spider for a beginner. It gets decent size, but not over the top. I know some folks get freaked out when they hear a spider gets over 7 inches. 7 inches is great, and it's going to take a while for it to get there, and they're beautiful. So there's a lot to offer there. So yes, I would say if you're somebody that's looking to start with a new type of sling or you're looking for something unique, this would be something to check out. Just be aware of the fact they are very slow growing. Again, a little faster than the gab species, but definitely on the slower end of things. Don't think that you're going to hear the name Lasiodorides, which a lot of people confuse that with Lasiodora and think, oh gosh, I'm going to have a super fast growing spider. That will not be the case. So if you're new to the channel and you enjoyed what you saw and you'd like to subscribe, I really appreciate it. Click the little circle up in there. If you want to check some more things out to see what I'm about, you can find them over here. If you take the time to comment, I'll take the time to respond. Just know it can take me a couple days because I tend to get busy. Guys, as always, stay safe. We'll catch you all next time.